Alright, let's get this going. I gotta make sure, set them aside, so that's a smile. We got 2 things in here, as expected, and then this should be 2 things. So a total of 5 things. And that's things, a very technical thing. That's not good, because it means I'm going to have to go into this with the scissors. And remember, the one time I did this with the scissors, I regretted it. There's styrofoam everywhere. Some weird, not supposed to be let free. Some prison styrofoam. Okay, but that wasn't too bad. Alright, so to begin with, we have Miss Koizomi loves ramen noodles. Which sounds like a fun, cute little title. You can tell from the shape this is an Eastern Star Discotheque release. Let's get small chunks of the plastic off, then get the plastic itself off, and then take a peek at the back, where I do see a Discotheque and Eastern Star. So this is Japanese with English subtitles only, now serving up a truly authentic ramen story. That actually sounds kind of tasty. I was just thinking that as neat as the character design is, it's kind of okay, but the ramen's actually kind of spectacular. Oh. Interesting. It might just be that angle, because that's a really standard cute anime girl sort of thing. That is too. So I guess I don't know what it is with that. Well, I know I won't get around to it, but I'm definitely curious about what this show has to say about ramen now. Speaking of those of you on my Discord server, I have been uploading emojis lately. I don't know if I uploaded the ramen one yet. I think I did. So we got Lupin the Third, The Mystery of Mamo on Blu-ray. I think I've already got this on DVD, but I don't specifically remember. It's just a blur. It's all a blur. Blur, blur, blur. I'm trying not to let those little pieces get away as much. Alright, nice and straightforward on the inside. Let's see, I had... Okay, so English and Japanese, I was going to say 500 million languages, but it's actually just 2, and there's a 2.0 and a 5.1 version of it. Secret. Oh, that's a movie. I just know. Although that said, we do have a different thing on the inside, and you know how I like those slip covers to be a little bit distinctive, so we're going to invert that. It's interesting how these almost are 2 different kind of schools of thoughts for what a title should be. They're both kind of nice in different ways. Although I like this one more personally, but I can't deny that this one has its appeal in terms of what... Oh, Jesus, I can't get it in there. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this one just kind of looks standard, I guess. Knights of Sidonia. Love woven in the stars. I think this is something different. It's really hard to... Oh, this is Funimation, so... Knights of Sidonia was actually released by Sentai originally, so I don't think this is a re-release, but I don't know. We've got regions A and B. We've got an English dub. Humanity's battle for survival reaches its epic finale. Well, that sounds like it's a continuation and not a start of a new series. Yeah, the thing that's really confusing about it to me is just thinking that I think Sentai released it before, but it was one of those things that was released I guess I was thinking Crunchyroll, but now I think about it, it was actually Netflix. I'm not seeing anything immediately here. I guess it would be down here. 21 minutes. This is a single 21-minute thing. It's a 21-minute movie? Or am I misreading it? No, it's called a feature film. Something familiar about that, like maybe... I don't remember what the previous releases looked like. But that's a thing. Okay, cool. We've got Knights of Sidonia. Next up we've got Drifting Dragons. A curious name. Something Dragons is always kind of a nice sound to it. This almost sounds like it could refer to some sort of warrior. We got a warrior guy there. We got something there, which could be a dragon, or maybe a machine that would be called a dragon within the context of this world. Here there be dragons, and that means good hunting. So Dragon Hunters, 12 episodes on 2 discs. That looks like English dub is available. This is Sentai release. Okay, Region A only. Okay, this doesn't make it look like a single individual powerful warrior. This looks like a platoon or something like that. Maybe a group of people who hunt. Maybe. And then last but not least, we have King's Raid. Which I don't know much about other than the fact that there are a bunch of VR chat avatars from the game. None of these characters immediately look familiar, but I guess I'm looking for a certain character with a 12-pack. And this isn't just King's Raid, this is part 2. I must have had a part 1 at some point, and I didn't remember. I don't remember commenting about the DVD. I'll have to double check, assuming I can ever get this plastic off. Really tenacious plastic. Come on, come on. It's not... Really stubborn plastic there. Okay, I said regions A and B. Did I say that looks like an English dub? Yeah, English dub. Yeah, and to be fair, some of the characters I'm used to seeing that I identify as King's Raid avatars. I get the impression there may be a lot of characters in the game. Anyways, here's this week's anime. I don't know if these are Blu-ray. Here's this week's anime Blu-ray collection update. Alright, good list of stuff, I suppose. Last week I had watched a lot of Tower of God Season 1. I don't know that there's a Season 2. I don't know if there's been plans of a Season 2, but I just know that at least what I watched was intended to continue going from where it was. I do feel like, I think last week I described that Tower of God had been suggested to me as something that was enjoyable, although they seemed hesitant to suggest it, and I think and you know, it's been about a week since I finished it, so my head's fuzzy, but I think what I said last week was probably about right for what I feel. I feel like neat things are happening and it's enjoyable to watch, but it almost feels like it's failing to give a feeling of a theme or something like that. Like it should, but it isn't, or something. And again, it's not necessarily bad. There were some interesting, unexpected things that happened near the end of it. And again, it was entertaining, but it's weird. I think it's definitely on the list of shows where if I were to watch the second season, I would probably enjoy it and continue watching. But there's a part of me that would be okay if I accidentally forgot to continue watching it. That's a really weird thing to say. Maybe. Maybe you understand. Maybe I've just watched so much stuff that I would be at that point. I was maybe at that point a long time ago, and I continue to watch stuff. And I do continue to find stuff entertaining. This next one, I didn't quite... so, bottom tier character Tomozaki, which is interesting because this comes out next week. Well, I guess technically the release date is the time that y'all are watching this video, the time I uploaded. Hopefully, I uploaded in time. Last week, there was a horrible video editing shenanigan that went a couple of times. So, getting back to the show at hand, bottom tier character Tomozaki, I didn't care for it. It's a kind of funny premise. It's basically Recluse is the best player at Super Smash Brothers, meets the second best and kind of discovers that he needs to start trying at life as well, or being a socialite or something like that. And to be clear, they don't explicitly say Super Smash Brothers, but they call it Super Attack Family. But Smash and Attack are kind of the same word, and Family and Brothers are kind of the same word. So it's Super Attack Family, but it's Super Smash Brothers. And it definitely shows some Super Smash Brothers kinds of vibes. But I guess for me, I didn't really like some of the assumptions the show was kind of putting forth. Like, it felt like it thought it was being smart, but the problem is both the characters really did have good points as well as being complete dumbasses, but I don't think... It didn't feel like the show felt like that to me. So I didn't really want to spend the time to it. The basic premise did the opposite of hooking me. It repelled me, and, you know, I could probably watch it, and maybe it turns out to be better. It is rated pretty high, so most people like it. But I could definitely tell, for me personally, it felt like it was trying to present something that maybe people could find deep meaning to, but in actuality, for me, it feels like it's all shallow, surface level stuff. And, you know, there's plenty of other things to watch, so I didn't spend time on that. I did, that's right. So I probably watched that when I recorded the... So I record the videos Monday night, and usually I get to watch like 1 or 2 episodes of an anime. This doesn't sound right because I finished Tower of God Season 1. But I knew that for Tuesday, I needed to find a dubbed anime. And so I fired up The World's Finest Assassin Gets Reincarnated in Another World as an Aristocrat. Because basically, as I mentioned, I was on the verge of unlocking, or I had actually unlocked... well, I guess when I recorded the video, I had done the steps so that the next day, at the time I would process this video and upload it, I would unlock terraforming in my third island, and that one was the biggest terraforming project of any of my islands, period. Sorry, that barbecue is, still digesting. The main problem I encountered is I wondered if I'd be able to do it piecemeal, but when the time came, I ended up, in order to start making progress, uprooting all the rocks, and that encouraged me to get everything into at least its sort of beginning to figure out where the final place is going to be, so then I could force those rocks to all 6 start respawning in their respective 6 places that I wanted them to spawn. So, again, my goal for island number 3 is to make an island that is much more themed than my previous islands, and at the same time take some of the lessons I learned from my second island and make this one even easier to maintain on a day-by-day basis. And I don't know how perfect it'll be in that regard, but it's already a lot better. It's already the case that that island is the easiest to keep up on, because once I do that stuff, you know, I'm still having to move houses around and do some terraforming, but I got to do the vast majority of the major terraforming, so that all that's left is little bits and pieces as houses get moved from their old spot to new spots. This was all well within the initial plan of what was going to happen on this island, so it's all going according to plan. It's just a really slow plan because I don't use time travel, and I didn't even finish talking about anime because yeah, so I had all that. Everything went well, everything's good. I'm finally getting things to a much more stable place where it's little bits and pieces trying to get the island back up to 3 stars, because I had to take everything away in order to build it up, and I'm trying to be more careful, conscientious. I reviewed the information and what I probably did wrong when I tried to get it to 3 stars quickly initially. And so I'm going to just be, you know, working on that stuff, figuring it out. I think I'm allowing myself to be a little slow in that regard, although eventually I'm going to be no longer moving buildings around, terraforming stuff, so I might focus a lot more intensely once that happens to try to make things good. But I'll probably save that for a weekend, because if I can get it up to 5 stars, then that island can start producing lilies of the valley, and I did set it up in a way such that it should be able to do that pretty easily. I really did come up with ideas. I wouldn't call them genius, but I'm just saying I'm kind of glad I did, that I could be lazy about that. So, back to anime. World's Finest Assassin gets reincarnated as an aristocrat. I watched the first 9 episodes of that. I just haven't watched any more because I've been exhausting myself these past few evenings. But it's been good. It feels like, compared to Tower of God, there's something more of a theming feeling going on. Something about it feels a little off, and I think it's kind of similar to what another anime is doing, but it almost feels like it has a goal, and the stuff characters are doing maybe probably lead in that general direction. But some of it kind of feels a little too convenient setup-y. Not in a way that makes it unwatchable, for me at least, but, you know, kind of one of those things where it's just like, oh yeah, well, of course he's going to do that. That's right. And I guess another problem with it is, and this isn't a huge problem that makes it unwatchable, but I do notice it does have this tendency to kind of have a very simplistic view of who can be good guys and who can be bad guys. And this isn't the only show to do it by a long shot. But it does feel like sometimes they like to say, well, men are the real bad guy. But I guess they had a bad guy girl in the first episode. Yeah, I guess it's just after that when it starts going down the, ooh, yes, it's fun to have our way with young women and make them suffer. Yes, we are very convincing people. You know, it's unfun to watch. I'm sure people like that exist in the real world, but I'm not sure they're actually as numerous as people like to say they are. And I think a lot of the reason people think they are is just because information travels so easily that you probably hear the egregious cases a whole lot more. And I could be mistaken about this, but I kind of feel like people want there to be more, even though they kind of say they don't want there to be more. Like they want something to rally against. And I don't know. I guess maybe seeing it in this show is just like, this is kind of shallow for your good guys, bad guys sort of thing. A little bit. But not enough to make it unwatchable. It was just a feeling that I remembered getting, and I'm just trying to latch on to anything about it that I can comment on, because other than that, that's funny, but I don't want to mention that because I feel like that's something they don't introduce earlier episodes. Yeah, there are some things in it that are
kind of amusing, interesting to note, but I don't know how to really explain it without giving it away. It's weird, but good. Spy Family episode 2, great. The thing that was really surprising to me about it, and not in the, oh, I can't believe they were able to do this, but just how solid the show continued to be. Because I commented how, like, one of the things that was really strong about the very first episode was they had the little girl who was a psychic, but they didn't feel like, oh, she has to follow these tropes. They kind of made it, well, you know, if she's a little girl, she doesn't really, even if she seems smarter than she isn't really. She's going to be full of these funny little kid mistakes sort of thing that are, you know, it makes it really great, funny, entertaining, refreshing. And episode 2, she's not in there a whole lot. She has a couple of important moments in there, but episode 2 is really dedicated to, okay, because the entire theme of the anime is, you know, this kind of contrived together fake family for spying, espionage sort of purposes. They don't know that they're each other's spies, and they don't know that the girl is a psychic who can read their minds, and it's supposed to be this really funny triage. But like I described, the episode 1 is only about the father-daughter aspect of that. So I think a lot of shows would actually focus on the mother-daughter thing as kind of the easy way in, where a lot of people, again, maybe this is just me, because obviously I thought the little girl was like this really refreshing, positive thing. It's like, that's adorable. I want to watch fucking more of that. Whereas the spy stuff wasn't bad, but it felt like it was a little on the nose in order to kind of establish the spy stuff. And that was okay. But, you know, I obviously had my preference. So you would think they would focus on the mother-daughter thing in the next episode to kind of make things drawn together. But no, it's about the husband-wife part. And it's really well done. I'm honestly blown away, because they set something up that sounded implausible. It's like, okay, well, what are they going to contrive in order to make this work? And it didn't feel contrived. And it was entertaining. It was pretty great. I don't know. Hopefully I'm not over gushing about the show, but I want to see what it's going to do. I want to know what it's going to do. It's created a world where these 3 main characters are all 3 very interesting. And I want to see what the show's going to do with it, because I have high hopes for it. Let's see. I watched Skeleton Knight episode 2. And it was an entertaining second episode. Sorry, that barbecue's still digesting. The thing about it that would probably be... I'm still not sure what it wants to be as a show, because it's playing at contradictions right now. But they're contradictions that usually are in place. So like In the Land of Leedale had a really good example of this, of our main character kind of being laid back, low profile, while also being this extreme god tier individual within their universe. And, you know, usually a lot of isekai that are kind of designed like this are about playing with that dynamic. And this show is definitely focusing a lot on that a lot more, where our main character, he's got a very refreshingly positive demeanor in general. There's something about it that's just like makes me want to smile. It reminds me of some of the people that I actually watch Twitch stream. And I know those people aren't always, you know, balls of positive, but the feeling from when I do get to interact with them and they are like that kind of reminds me of this guy. So that's an interesting thing I just realized right now while talking about it. But, you know, he's trying to keep a low profile, and he's kind of being interesting with doing that. But at the same time, he's setting into place explicit things that are letting people know that his profile is not so low per se. And it's really hard to tell, because I think the things that'll be interesting about it are how those might collide, if that's where it's going. And that's why episode 2, it's hard to tell where the series is going to be overall. Chances are it's going to be entertaining, but I don't know if there's going to be interesting twists as it goes. And to be fair, it's generally suggested you go like 3 episodes in. Like if you watched the first 2 episodes of Overlord, you probably wouldn't have a very good feeling of what kind of show that's going to be. But then episode 3, you're like, oh shit, I'm watching this whole series, aren't I? And again, I think when I talked about Overlord, I mentioned episode 1 didn't strike me as a definitive watch. Episode 2, I remember starting to think the dialogue for this show is actually pretty fun. I'm looking forward to seeing more of it. So, it kind of built up to that lock-in moment. I don't know if Skeleton Knight's doing that yet or not. Let's see. We have The Greatest Demon Lord is reincarnated as a typical nobody, episode 2. And this is the one that I was saying I kind of felt like there was a similarity to World's Finest Assassin gets reincarnated, in that there's a sort of convenience where, okay, our main characters, they're now placing them in magic school, where the show needs to start establishing where it may be going with its show, and there is a kind of feeling of that, but it's also kind of not quite there. But it's also like, okay, and now he's adding another character to the harem, and it's not bad per se, but it's, I guess, not refreshing. I guess it's sort of like if the theme of the series is friendship, it means more when you don't have really fucking attractive people of the opposite sex that you are also attracted to, kind of building up there. Now, I don't know if it said that he's actually attracted to them or not. I guess it kind of implied he is in the first episode, but I don't know if I want to elaborate too much on that. But it's, it's one of those things where friendship feels like it means more when it's not tied by those attractiveness bounds. And, I think they try to do that with some personality sort of stuff, and it's fun and it's neat. It's a little chaotic and not necessarily directionless, but again, the show just seems to be throwing some stuff at us that I would say other shows have done better. But, it's standing on its own. They just kind of are. So, I'm not sure what to think about the series. Skeleton Knight, I could kind of see episode 3 doing something that just gives a good feel for where that series is going to be going long run, period. Greatest Demon Lord, I'm not as sure. I would almost feel like this one could have a weaker 3 episode start, just because, it could be entertaining, but it might lack the hooking to make you want to. It's really hard to tell. And the last one, The Dawn of the Witch, episode 2. And you'd think I would remember this better because this is the latest of all this stuff that I just named that I've watched. Let's see. It revealed a twist that I kind of expected, especially a twist based on some of the subtle things they said in the first episode. If there were anything about this episode that I would say was a little off, it felt like it was a little too intense with stuff it was revealing in a way. Like, I feel like this stuff needed to happen, but I almost wonder if it's almost doing too much. I don't think this one's necessarily doing too much as in it's unwatchable, but I do wonder if it means that I'm not entirely sure how I should feel about these group dynamics, because it doesn't seem to be describing to me what specifically. It feels like maybe there's a theming issue kind of missing from it as well. It's not quite as chaotic as a Demon Lord reincarnated as a typical nobody. But I don't know. And maybe this is just me and the way I'm handling watching one episode as they come out. Maybe I'm used to just watching big chunks of stuff, and maybe this would have made more sense if I watched like the first 3 episodes together. I almost feel like that was the case. That would be the case with episodes 1 and 2 because they are too tightly coupled to watch 1 week apart while you are really fucking exhausted from too much Animal Crossing and not giving yourself any time to recover, sorts of stuff. Where was I going with this? Anyways, yeah, it's good stuff. It's entertaining stuff. I mean, if I sound like I've been complaining about anything too much, well, bottom tier character Tomozaki not syncing up with me is really the only negative I'd say there. Everything else is just like, I guess I'm being kind of entertained by this. I guess I'm glad I sacrificed a little bit of bedtime just to watch this one episode. Little things like that, but it's all been entertaining. I've got a whole lot of other stuff in Crunchyroll that I'm like, all this stuff looks interesting. And based on the stuff that arrived today, I might poke around there. But we'll have to see if I'm driving myself to wit's end with Animal Crossing stuff. Because, like, among all this other stuff, Bunny Day, aka Easter, happened on Sunday. And since I hadn't participated really in any of the previous ones in Animal Crossing, it's just like, it's there. It's like, okay, you're staring at me up in the face. Okay, I need to do what now? Oh, construct all the things. I'll have the new, the third island do all that stuff. There we go. It's all constructed. And you gave me this stuff. And I discovered a couple of the outfits are actually not too bad. Like, I didn't like most of the Bunny Day stuff, but the Easter party, not the Easter, the egg party outfit is actually pretty neat. And I like the rainbow colored backpack, especially on that. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I've been playing some Dead by Daylight. I've streamed a little bit. I uploaded an unlisted YouTube video. Nothing that I would say is so mind-blowing that you need to go out there and watch it. But I think it's just worth mentioning as, that's still there as a thing I'm tracking and trying to do. And even though there was a little, a little down drop in it, it's still staying active in the brain and touched almost on a daily basis. I mean, I touch it every day to make sure I get the dailies so that at a minimum I catch up on all the dailies a day or two later. And I have reached the point in the game where everybody has been reached to level 50, and so I'm targeting Pyramid Head first as the killer I'm going to prestige, and my goal is to make him reach prestige 3 and then keep leveling up until he has all of the perks. And that is going... Right now he's prestige 2 and I am at like 250, 300,000 to get to close to 1 million to prestige him for the final time, and then dump those points into him so that he gets as high as I can get him. And then I will keep going until he has those perks. So that's progress. I'm not sure if it, in the grand scheme of things, means it's a whole lot of progress, especially since, by the time I get him completely leveled up, maybe if I'm doing things kind of quickly, maybe that happens within the next week. I don't think it'll happen in the next week, but it's possible. Maybe I play enough to do that. And if that's the case, then, somebody else is going to get targeted for prestiging next. Probably somebody who has a perk problem that I really need to solve on them. I have thoughts on that, but okay, yeah, I have thoughts on that, but I think I should probably do that separately, because there's plenty of killers who are really in a really good place in terms of what perks they have. So I should probably... I can't stop thinking about it because I am continuing to think about it while I talk to y'all. Yeah, I'll just continue doing that stuff. But chances are, I think the point I was trying to make is in June there's going to be a anniversary update. I think it's a new Survivor, new killer confirmed. It's going to be an original one as far as I understand. And even if it isn't, you know, I'm getting it no matter what, and that's going to be 3 more perks to level up on Survivor and to level up on Killer. So that'll probably slow me down in the future once I get around to it. Interesting stuff. Anyways, I've babbled on long enough. Y'all, have a nice week.